Alrighty. I actually had this idea. I don't know what happened before. My fucking OBS crashed. I was trying to set up something else. I was fucking with OBS. OBS immediately crashed and the stream stopped. So I just decided to make some food and start something else. But I had this idea as I was sitting around thinking of what I could do. I think I have a good idea. We're gonna do this. About this 8 hour long video about the back rooms. And I've been interested in the back rooms lately because like I knew about it before and I was interested and I would like follow along with some of the stories and stuff and see what kind of pick out the ones I liked. But I've gotten into the subliminal liminal spaces, right? And I've really begun to like try to understand the philosophy behind it. And what sparked this was Jay Dyer doing his stuff. But I'm gonna do this for a bit. Hey, Halfwood. So I'm just gonna sit here and talk about this, and anybody who wants to join the Discord and talk about it with me can, as long as I know who you are. If I don't know who the fuck you are, then of course you're not gonna be able to join. This is the boys only, or the boys and the boys adjacent only place. I'm gonna get started in just a second. I'm tempted to join this Discord with Chris in it and call him gay real quick, but I'm not gonna do that. But anyhow, I was thinking when I was thinking about this, I was also thinking maybe I should wait until I know other people would be around to do this. But I'm just gonna do this as a test stream. We're gonna do this as a test. We're gonna do it by ourselves. Any of the boys show up and wants to talk about it, then that's cool. But Thursday nights, very few people are usually around. But anyways, we're gonna watch some of this. I posted the guy's channel who made these videos. In the description, you can go to his channel and watch all this stuff yourself if you don't want to see me talk over it. Probably should. Probably should go over there and give him a like or something. Backrooms and Nuclear Nightmare are both pretty good guys. Well, I don't really like the backroom. Like, there's one backrooms games that I like, but I haven't really played a lot of them. I more so like the idea of it and what the reflection of this series is on like society, and it kind of I think like it kind of speaks to like the emptiness of what our culture is. Like there's you could see like little remnants of what the culture was about 20 years ago, 20, 30ish years ago, and how it's just kind of faded away slowly and has been replaced by this um like blank space almost. Like you could see the remnants, you could see the outline of the culture we used to have, but it's just kind of hollow. It's empty now. That's what I kind of like about the backroom stuff, and as I've been trying to more deeply think about it. Anyways, I'm gonna start this video, and I've got some food. I'm probably gonna be munching on some of that, but I'll have my mic. So I probably didn't even need to tell you that because you wouldn't have known. And now you do. Now you're with me. Get some food.
Classified as a class 1, so it's safe and secure and has a minimal entity count, even though there are no known entities here. This level is the one that most people no-clip into as soon as they land in the backrooms. You all know what the level looks like, and you probably heard it a million times, but it's Bergmas, and I'm gonna say it all again. Level 0 is a network of rooms that all have...
I should probably explain something real quick. I'm going to start this over. But, so the ideas of the back room also is that you just randomly fall through like reality in some place. Like there's a crack in reality. So say you're like, I don't know, taking a shower or something. You lean on the wrong tile in your shower. Whoops. Now you're butt ass naked with a bunch of demons chasing you. That's pretty. That's kind of how it works.
Level 0, aka the Tutorial Zone, is the first level in the backrooms. It's classified as a Class 1, so it's safe and secure and has a minimal entity count, even though there are no known entities here. This level is the one that most people no-clip into as soon as they land in the backrooms. You all know what the level looks like, and you've probably heard it a million times, but it's Bergmas, and I'm gonna say it all again. Level 0 is a network of rooms that all have this famous backrooms wallpaper. You know what it is? It's that yellow, dingy looking thing. It's nasty, really. The carpet here is damp, and it smells like it too. And there's this dingy fluorescent lighting all over that's flickering in some places, and it's all
I'm muted. Whoopsie. But something about the way that all this looks, like the wallpaper, the carpet, the lighting. What this seems like to me is when I was like a child in the 90s, and like those like cheap rent a office places, like they would just be like a building where you could rent out an office, and they would always have like this type of generic look to it with this type of generic lighting. And even like say you work at like anywhere you kind of work, like this is kind of like the generic kind of office look. That's what it looks like to me. So it's so when you see this, it kind of brings to mind like that idea, like this is just like the idea that it's just a blank, empty kind of generic place that's like kind of memorable. Kind of. You can kind of remember something like this. I'm sure that most people could think really hard and would eventually be able to find a place that they've been to that's similar to this.
also emitting this buzzing noise from the lights. The buzzing noise would already drive me to insanity. The buzzing on this level is much louder than normal fluorescent lights from real life, and it's unknown why it's so loud. It's almost like it's being loud just to be annoying. I mentioned it, but the carpet here is moist, and it's also unknown what liquid is making it moist, but what is known is that it's not safe to drink, obviously.
Well, it's probably almond water. But anyways, you'll see why I say that soon. What up, Stammy? YouTube's telling me I should review your comment for just saying yo, 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 yo. Are you culturally appropriating in my chat? YouTube seems to think so. Sticky note wallpaper? Yeah. Kinda, yeah.
Who's gonna be drinking carpet juice, bro? What? An important thing to remember when talking about level 0 is that the space there is non-linear. This means that you could walk in a quote-unquote straight line and end up right back where you started. And if you try to go back the way you came, you could end up in a completely different set of rooms. So this makes the level quite disorienting and confusing, especially since the people that are here just landed in. And couple that with the fact that compasses and GPSs don't work, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Also, radio communications are really disoriented and scrambled, so...
See, what's interesting about this is like that kind of goes with the whole idea that it's like a thing that you can just barely remember. Because it's kind of disorienting. It's kind of like having a dream of a place that you've kind of been to, or you kind of remember going to. It's just like warped, and it changes as you go through the dream. That's what a lot of this reminds me of.
Makes it pointless to even try to connect with radios. Some people consider level 0 as the scariest level in the backrooms because of the initial shock factor you get from being completely alone and in a literal alternate dimension, which I can see. Even though there's no entities here, it's still one of the most terrifying. An interesting fact is...
And also that, like, as we go to the different levels, you'll begin to see, like, that whole idea, oh, this is the scariest place. That's retarded. There's so many explosions. Let me describe to you one level. The one level that I thought was the coolest one. It's where you walk through this, you enter this place, and you drop into a pitch black forest surrounded by monsters that can't see you, and hopefully don't know you're there quite yet. Because if they do, you know, you're just spawn killed. But then what happens is you basically, like, the only way that you're going to survive is you run straight forward towards this castle. You get into this castle, and the monsters can't get into the castle, and there's this giant knight that's walking around, waiting for like the demons to break in or something. And he's non-hostile to you and will like talk to you and stuff. And once you're here and you're in that castle, there's no way out. You're stuck in that castle forever. And there's no way that you could really get out and try to see if there's a way out outside of the castle, because the castle's the only place where you can survive. And you're like extremely lucky just to make it to that castle. Like that's some scary shit, if you ask me. That's some fucking nightmare fuel. That's some if you you know, that's some shit I don't even want to deal with, you know.
That even though level 0 is the main
But the point was, yeah, I don't see how anybody who knows anything about the backrooms would ever say that this is the scariest floor. It's weird and strange. It'd be disorienting and kind of anxiety filled if you were find yourself in there, but you know, it's not the worst.
way to enter the backrooms, there's never been any reports of wanderers interacting with each other in this level. And there's also been no corpses ever found here, but it's assumed that there's a ton of them, because there's no way every single person lives from this level. So let's say a group of people attempts to enter level 0 from a different level. If they do, they'll be split up, and they won't even be able to meet back up until they leave the level. So it's literally like the level puts you in solitary confinement on purpose. Obviously, this solitude and the weird non-linear structure makes people's minds play tricks on them. It's a given that hallucinations are common on this level, specifically the hallucination of doors or stairs or hearing humans talking, or you can
But you see, that's really cool. Like this is what I like about level 0 is that it's like it's literally like a vague memory. Everything about it is just like a really vague memory of a bunch of stuff that's kind of familiar. Like you can't even remember people, or you could kind of remember some people talking or some shit going. It's cool.
hallucinate random movement in the corner of your eyes and your peripheral vision, and sometimes the humming of the lights can be so loud that you can hallucinate going deaf, or you can just hear random insects chittering. And yeah, couple all those hallucinations with being completely alone and isolated in a random space that seems endless, and you might go crazy. Like I said earlier, there are no known entities here, and you can't even run into another wanderer. So if you think you hear something, you don't. You're just going crazy. To enter level 0, you have to no-clip from the reality of Earth. Simple as that. To exit level 0, there are a few more ways. The main way is you can learn to no-clip through a wall or floor by practicing yourself. And this will put you on the next level, which is level 1. But there's also a slight chance that if you walk far enough in any direction, that you'll end up in a place called the Manila Room, which is a medium-sized square room that appears to have literally no relationship with the other levels. It seems completely random. This room has small wooden chairs inside, and it gives off just a weird vibe. But something good about the Manila Room is that wanderers can meet up here and they can actually see each other. Unlike in the main part of level 0 where you can't meet anybody. There's also documents from Meg that are available in the Manila Room that people can read up on, and it'll tell them how to survive the backrooms and how to travel from level to level. And most importantly, the papers will teach you how to no-clip. Thanks, Meg. So the explanation I just gave is for the newer, revised version of level 0 from the Wikidot. The first version of level 0 doesn't exist anymore, obviously, because it was archived. There are several key differences in the official version that we have now and the archive version, so I thought I'd go over some of the differences here. In the official version, there are just an infinite labyrinth of yellow rooms everywhere, with an endless length of hallways and segments, stuff like that. But in the archives version, there was a little bit more to it. Like there were electrical outlets on the wall, and there were surveillance cameras on the ceiling, and instead of it only being yellow walls, there were occasional red rooms that you could walk in, and occasional pitch black hallways you could walk in as well. But other than that, they were pretty much the same. They still had the flickering lights, the moist carpet, and the mostly yellow walls. The archive version also had several outposts.
Yeah, I don't know if I care about this.
Level 1 of the backrooms is considered a class 1 area because of these reasons that I always say, so I'm just going to show you. The level looks like a huge warehouse that has concrete floors and walls, and there's even like exposed rebar everywhere. Additionally, there's some fog that hangs really low to the ground on this level, and it comes from an unknown source. Nice. So the fog causes condensation to happen, which makes these puddles form on the ground. So unlike
Now, in a lot of these stories that you read about these different types of level, like he was talking about in the level 0, that nobody would ever want to drink the floor water, or wring out the carpet water, right? Well, no, actually, as people are traveling through here, they become so desperate for food and water that they would do that in some cases. So, like, this is the thing that's cool about it. It's like you're trapped in this vague memory that and you have no ability to feed or water yourself. So it's like actually trying to get out. You have to risk uh, going to some horrific places just to be able to find food or water. And that's just a cool idea to me. And even in this area, level 1, like a lot of people that find this area, like, oh, thank God we found a place with water that we can drink.
Level 0, this level has a constant supply of water that you can actually drink, and electricity that doesn't make a humming noise. This makes level 1 a welcome sight for weary travelers. This level can get really expansive though. It's got staircases and elevators and secluded rooms and winding hallways all throughout, so try your best not to get lost. This level produces random crates with supplies that seem to appear and disappear at random. These crates can contain food and almond water, and sometimes they even have batteries, tarps, clothes, medical equipment, and weaponry. Nice. But sometimes the boxes have really dumb stuff, like random car parts or boxes of crayons, or even live mice. What? Some crates also...
Yeah, and this is like, this is the level that you get to that's like minimally dangerous. I don't think there's very many entities, if any at all. This is like the place you would go to. You find this place. You're like, okay, if I don't want to try to find my way out of here and risk my life, I'll just stay here. And there's like colonies and shit on this level.
Have loose change or
Both
human
people who
hair,
do that.
so that's nice, I guess. These crates should be approached with caution since what's inside of them is random, but you definitely should approach them just in case there's good stuff, obviously. A weird quirk about this level is that there are strange, crude drawings and paintings of an unknown origin that appear on the walls and floors of the level. They sometimes change how they look, and they sometimes also disappear when you're not looking at them. Just like level 0, sometimes level 1 can experience light flickering. When this happens, supplies often vanish.
And see, this whole area too is like another kind of vague memory. What this kind of reminds me of is like a parking lot, like outside of a hospital or something, like one of those one of those tower parking lots that go into a hospital. And that's what the paintings kind of reminded me of too in this area. It's like there were in the 90s there were in these hospital parking lots there were strange like drawings and shit everywhere, but just like generic printed out pieces of shit art that were all over the hospital, the doctor's rooms, and even in the tower parking lots. It was weird, but that's something that I remember.
When the lights flash off, and entities also spawn then. These creatures tend to avoid areas with lights, so just hang around a bright spot, and you should be good. Also, since the objects disappear randomly, it's been found that if you actually hold onto the objects, then they don't disappear. They seem to only disappear when they're just laying by themselves. An area called the Hub is also located on level 1. It's a long tunnel that has doors to different levels on it. Most of the time there are wanderers here, and it's actually a pretty popular area. Level 1 is home to the first main Meg base, which if you remember from my level 0 explained video, used to be in the archived version of level 0, but it got moved to level 1. I think it's for the better. The base is named Base Alpha, and it houses about half of all of the Meg teams. They also take wanderers in as well. The base is located near an entrance to the level, and is heavily guarded in order to ward off creatures, obviously. The next outpost is called the BNTG's Trader's Keep. The BNTG stands for Backrooms National Trade Group, which I've already made a video about them and Meg, so links below if you want to check that out. The place is called
And yeah, like in this area, all the levels, there are some levels that are safe, that there are like organizations that make bases there to help people or to just study like the different floors. And a lot of the reason, or you would even have the capability of surviving some of the floors, is because of these groups of people. There's some that, of the stories that you'd only know about because, obviously we're not people within this reality, so we can understand that something's going on without any person actually having knowledge. Like the castle story that I told before, nobody actually knows about that except for I don't know like how anybody would know about that, but apparently like they know to run. Some people know to run. I don't know how they get out though.
Traders Keep, and it's a
They're
city-like
not supposed to be able
complex
to.
that has a semi-normal social infrastructure. There are about 415 people who live here constantly, and they keep a friendly relationship with Meg. And this place is one of the main supply hubs for wanderers in the entire backrooms. And it's a nice place to take refuge and experience some sort of normalcy. It's located in the storage hall section of level 1. The last outpost or place is called Tom's Diner. Again, if you remember my level 0 explain video from yesterday, Tom's Diner used to be on level 0, now it's here. The diner is run by Tom, obviously, who was a chef in real life before he no-clipped into the backrooms. He has plenty of food in storage, and he gets supplies from the BNTG every few months so he can stay stocked. Tom's Diner is a common place for social activities and a pretty fun time overall, and a lot of people use this area as like a rendezvous point. It's strangely wholesome, bro, not even gonna lie. There are a ton of ways to enter level 1, but the most obvious one is to come from level 0 by no-clipping. But if you're not a level 0, you could climb a tree on level 11.1, or you could complete the King's Trial on level 94. Or sometimes there's just doors labeled level 1 scattered throughout the backrooms.
Yeah, that's something else. Like, you see that floor 11.1, there's actually secret floors that you can access just randomly. Just by random happenstance, you hit the perfect, like the perfect set of circumstances that, you fall into this either super good luck place or you dead. You gonna die place.
You can walk through one of those doors and you'll end up here. Level 2 is the third level of the backrooms, and it's classified as a class 2 survival difficulty because it's pretty unsafe, honestly. And this is the last of the levels that you could be sent to when you first enter the backrooms. The majority of the people land in level 0, and some land in level 1. In some rare cases, you can land in level 2, and if you do, your luck is terrible. Like, you have the worst luck ever. Level 2.
By the way, why the fuck is he like having Christmas? Like, did he do this at a Christmas? Okay, this is my thing. Like, if you make videos like this, don't make them holiday related. Please don't make them holiday related.
Layout.
Or go ahead, hell, fuck it. We're celebrating Christmas early. Everybody get your presents out.
Pretty much an infinite labyrinth of low-light, concrete maintenance tunnels that go on for hundreds of thousands of miles. The walls in the hallway are all lined with pipes, and sometimes there are even air ducts in the ceiling and on the walls. And these air ducts typically have a thick black liquid that comes out of them, and it's unknown what this is. Scattered around these halls are random doors, and they're all over the place. Some of the doors are locked, and some of them are open, but the ones that are open mostly lead nowhere, except sometimes there's a rare exit. We'll talk about that later. These rooms that dead end normally have shelves with seemingly random objects on them, ranging from pieces.
Like, this is something I actually like. Like, each of these floors, at least the first few, I'd even say like almost all the floors have some sort of like vague memory or vague fear that somebody would have, right? And with this one, I can have vague memories of like I have a memory of going with my dad to his job once and being in this industrial kind of basement where there were steam pipes and shit all over the wall, and it was kind of dangerous and it was hot as fuck in there. And I had to go with him because he forgot something, and there was just no other option. And I have that vague memory of doing that. And this is kind of what that is. It's kind of like a vague industrial kind of basement where it's just like with a bunch of locked doors that you could never unlock. Like, it's interesting. I know I'm going to keep repeating that, but it's super interesting how all of these are kind of like vague anxieties combined with like vague memories.
Of scrap metal to
It's like really well kind of designed.
computers, which is weird. The hallways in this level are normally a pretty comfortable temperature until you get to some of the segments where it can get up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius. These hot areas are also where machine noises are really loud too, so just avoid them. The entities located on this level are honestly some of the worst ones possible. Crawlers crawl through the air vents, smilers hide in the shadows. There's also child facelings, clumps, hounds, death moths, skin stealers, and this guy. Gotcha. These creatures lurk in the hallways constantly, so it's probably best to just avoid them at all costs. Interestingly enough, there are a couple bases and outposts here, and the first one is called the Survivors. which consists of about 29 people who literally just explore this level. It's kind of lame, but whatever. The leader of this ragtag group is named Austin, and they're pretty friendly and they're willing to trade with wanderers, so I guess that's nice. This group was actually the first group ever to discover what wretches were, so thank you, I guess. The next outpost is called Office Space EL3A.
And this is the thing about like a lot of these monsters within here are kind of like I don't know how to describe them. Like some of them are kind of like shadow creatures. Some of them are like literal like just absolute pure fucking horror creatures. You know, I don't know how to explain it. Like I don't know if they're going to explain any of the creatures on this video, but maybe one day I'll switch to one that shows and explains each of the creatures.
This
That probably would have been a better one to start with.
area is controlled by the BNTG, or the Backrooms National Trade Group, and it houses about 30 people, give or take a few. There's no information on what goes on there, so I can only assume Backrooms trading happens, since that's the name of the BNTG. I don't know. To enter level 2, you can wander around level 1 until you find the entrance, or you can access it from the hub, which is that huge tunnel from level 1 I talked about. And like I said earlier, level 2 can be accessed directly from reality, but it would definitely be the worst one out of the first 3 levels to land in, but it still might happen. To exit level 2, you can go through an unlocked door and it might lead somewhere to the next level, or sometimes back to level 1 even. The most common exit is this huge multicolored door that's somewhere on the level, and that leads to level 283. And if some reason you want to go to a sub-level, which is level 2.1, you can just no-clip through the floor or the wall in one of those extremely hot areas I was talking about, and it'll just stick you in the sub-level. I don't think I would do that, but whatever you want, man. So to summarize, level 2 is a huge expanse of maintenance tunnels with pipes on the walls and random locked or unlocked doors everywhere. There are a ton of dangerous entities here, and it can get really hot in some of the halls. This level to me is like the first real experience with entities you get, so be warned.
Seems like a genre of games that took place after Hello Neighbor. Well, like the original thing is the original thing of the Backrooms was kind of like a copy of like the SCP, but instead of SCP stuff. But instead of, you know, it being about different monsters or creatures within that world, it's more about different areas in this place that's like a gap in reality. So it does not, it's not a game, it's like a story, it's like a universe where stories take place in. So like a lot of these places are kind of setups for a story. You know, it's kind of like the, what is it, the Sumerillion for Lord of the Rings, where it's kind of giving you the lore, the backdrop of the universe so that you can create a story within it. That's what I like about like things like SCP or this backroom stuff is anybody who's willing to like create like a universe that's super interesting to where you could actually just write like a character story within that is, you know, they're doing God's work, man. Because the world building and stuff is what's actually really difficult to stay consistent with. That's why a lot of stories are just like interpersonal dramas. It's because it like reality, like a real world setting, because the world itself is annoying to create, so they just want to make an interpersonal drama. They don't really like. That's why there's so much of that, and not interesting like survival horror stories. So I can comparison of hell at its multiple layers. Yeah, you could say that. Like you could say that they're probably different layers of hell. I would say that to me, it's more like different layers of human consciousness, different layers of like human vague memories. Like it's like the collective of a bunch of really vague memories, vague nightmares, vague dreams, you know, just kind of like a conglomeration of like a bunch of similar but not quite the same things that exist outside of reality or outside of our reality. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, everybody has this idea of like an office space from the 90s, and that's what level zero would be. So all of these places are kind of generic and reflect like a human consciousness. It's, you know, it's kind of Neoplatonist coded, kind of gay,
Level 3 of
but we'll ignore that. We'll ignore that.
the backrooms is classified as class 4, so it's unsafe and unsecure, and it has a medium entity count. This is actually the first real test for people who are new to the backrooms. Level 2 was kind of a warm-up level for this one, because level 3 consists of a ton of looping dark hallways that behave kind of like the ones from level 0, but not to the full extent. Each of the hallways juts off into random segmented rooms, and there's no pattern to this level whatsoever, it's all random. On top of the randomness of the hallways, there's also extremely loud machinery noises that echo through the halls, which could be disorienting, and personally, it would drive me insane. The hallway
Now, I don't know if anybody has ever worked or had somebody that they knew or visited that worked in like a kind of semi-military kind of place, but I don't know. Like maybe this is just a me thing, but I do have, like, I have known somebody who worked at like a business that had this type of look to it. It looks kind of like a prison, but it's not quite a prison. There's like gate doors, but it's not like an actual prison. It's just to prevent people from going further into the place because there's highly dangerous or highly necessary to secure areas in the building. It's kind of like maybe like the back of a bank. Like there's some banks that I've been to that have like these kinds of gates and this kind of look. I don't know, like it's a very vague, it's even more vague.
themselves are really skinny and short, and really skinny in some places, and sometimes people have to crawl through them, and if you're tall, you have to bend over like the entire
And, you know, it could just be representing a prison too, so I could be overthinking it.
time, but good thing I'm 5'10". The walls
Or
are made
Chillin.
of dusty bricks, and there's copper pipes that run along them, and the floor is made of a hard gray tile. The ceilings are made out of metal, which makes the echo way worse. Interestingly, this level is actually one of the biggest levels in the backrooms. Its estimated size is around 350 million miles, which is massive. This means it's really unlikely to run into any wanderers here, so it's recommended that when you come here, you be prepared to fight entities alone, since you'll probably not meet any help. Something that makes this level unique is that sometimes there's these prison cell bars that cut off entire sections of hallways. Meg has tried to break past these bars to explore further, but they literally cannot break it. They've also tried to break the walls down that are around the bars, but they can't break those either. Areas
And see, like the kind of concept, like the nightmarish type of concept in this is like you're in this incredibly like dark, dingy place, and you're just absolutely limited to the places that you can go to, and that there's no way that you can get through or break through sections of it for whatever reason within that nightmare. That's something I have sometimes. Like a stronghold, yeah, kind of. It's it's vaguely like a military base or like a highly secure government building or bank or something. Like that's what this looks like to me.
of these prison bars have been recorded as the creepiest places in the entire level. Some wanderers say that there's a heightened sense of fear when you're around them. Some have even said that they get extreme discomfort by just approaching them. Most people get the feeling that they're being watched when they're near these prison bars, and some have claimed to see an unknown figure lurking behind the bars. Creepy. Just like yesterday's level, which is level 2, this level's halls have a black sludge liquid that flows through the pipes. This sludge is really toxic, and it can literally cause damage to your brain if you even breathe it in, and if you touch it, you'll get third-degree burns. So how about we just avoid the black sludge, huh? Meg still has no
Which, by the way, there's a lot of floors where it's just automatic death because of stuff like that. Because you just spawn into a place that a human being can't survive in. So this is all of this, like this whole place, like this is some of the safest shit. Like once you get into like the real shit, there's also some places that are like really cool and nice, you know, too. But like a lot of this place is just so extremely hostile that, like, this is my theory of the whole backrooms. It's just like a collection of like human experience, vague human experiences, nightmares and dreams and vague memories and stuff. So like of course, like the majority of it is going to be nightmarish and hostile.
Idea what the sludge is or why it flows through the pipes, so nice. Every once in a while on this level, there's a random electrical room with a single generator inside, as well as random electronics like computers or loose wires, and there's even security monitors here too. The rooms are rare though, and no one knows why they exist. As I said earlier, this level's pretty dangerous, but it's also really rewarding at the same time. The level has loads of almond water, false outlets, fire salt, royal rations, squirt guns, and many other resources too. There are tools and weapons like knives, lighters, and bolt cutters, and flashlights that are just laying around. On top of these resources, Level 3 is also a level with the strongest Wi-Fi signal in the entire backrooms, so you can get stocked up on food, weapons, and Wi-Fi. Sounds like a pretty nice level to me. As you can expect, all the machinery and these small enclosed spaces make this level pretty warm, but it's still bearable. The temperature ranges from 66 degrees to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, or 18 degrees to 33 degrees Celsius, for most of the level. But in some segments, temperatures of over 135 degrees have been recorded, so just avoid those. The machines on this level operate completely on their own, but they're also really dangerous sometimes because they'll just blow up and pieces of them will fly off and hit you. If you see one making too much noise, just don't go near it. Level 3 has tons of dangerous entities and creatures, and you're pretty much gonna have to fight off loads of them. There's hounds, facelings, wretches, death moths, skin stealers, clumps, and smilers lurking everywhere, specifically in the shadows. There are all
So like something I can't remember like a lot of them, but like the hounds are just what they sound like. Uh, the skin stealers are like these random creatures that like try to steal your skin to put them on themselves, I think. And the smilers are like these shadow creatures that are just basically, if you're in the dark, you can't see any of their body. You can just see the smile that they have, I think.
also sections infested with crawler fungus and the disease, which are both mold-like entities. The entities on this level behave more aggressively than on other levels, and they actively seek out to attack bases and outposts. Some smaller groups have trouble fending them off, but the big bases don't. Speaking of big bases, the Meg Base Gamma is located here, and it's the third most important Meg Base. There's around 300 people who live here, and they take wanderers in too, and they're open to trade. The base is attacked by entity hordes often, but since it's so big, they can pretty much defend themselves. The next outpost is called the BNTG Storage Facility. BNTG is Backrooms National Trade Group, for those who don't know, and this is the biggest trade center for the BNTG. The outpost will trade with you, but they're known for having insanely high rates, losers, and there's around 150 people that live here. The third outpost is called the Followers of Jerry Blue Salvation, and there are only 15 members here, and they typically just are here to collect the resources from this level. Jerry's that one bird I talked about a while back. This group is hostile for those who don't listen to what Jerry says, and this makes them an unpredictable threat. The Masked Maidens might also have a base here.
Yeah, like a lot of these people, like in a lot of these areas too, even the ones that are safe, like say, there are like things that are present in those places that slowly drive people insane. So you have like these random tribes of people that are fucking nuts and like worship a bird, you know, shit like that is pretty consistent within these places. So not only do you have to deal with like the nightmare scenario that you have, or even if you find a place that seems like it's pretty cool and would be, you know, awesome to just stay around here because going any further could risk horrific death. You still have to deal with these insane people that are driven crazy by the fact that they're in a place where they kind of just don't belong.
But it's unconfirmed, and it's kind of just a rumor that exists. The last base here is called UEC Base Scylla. UEC stands for Unbound. This outpost has an unknown number of members, and it's just here to collect the resources. And it's said to avoid them at all costs because they're dangerous and unpredictable. To enter level 3, you can go through one of those unlocked doors on level 2, or you can take an elevator on level 4 or 5. The metro is also a pretty reliable way to get here. To exit level 3, take an elevator, which will take you to level 4 or 5, or you can open a random wooden door, which will take you to level 31. Nice. So to summarize, level 3 is a huge level of small hallways with brick walls, metal ceilings, and tile floors. There's machinery constantly making noise, and a black sludge that flows through the pipes that can literally kill you if you inhale it. There's also a ton of dangerous creatures here, but at the same time it's kind of worth coming here because of how rich this level is in resources. I rate this level about 7 out of 10 on the Brugly scale, because I'd come here just for all the stuff you can get. Level 4, aka the Abandoned Office, is classified as a Class 1 survival difficulty, and is safe, secure, and has minimal entities. Only 2. This level is mainly known for being the main source of almond water in the back rooms. Nice. It physically looks like an entire empty office building with stairwells and hallways and stuff like that, and it has pretty much no furniture. There are windows here, but they're mainly blacked out, and the ones that look normal, like there's light coming through them, are window traps, so don't go near them. Like I said earlier, there are only 2 entities that have been seen here, and those are hounds and dullars, but one person did claim they saw a smiler, so they might be here too. Due to there not being many entities here, and there's also an abundance of almond water, this means there's tons of people here, pretty much all the time. The almond water is in coolers, vending machines, and water fountains all over the level, and it never seems to run out. How convenient.
Muted. But like even this area, what does this remind me of? Like it's just it obviously it's just a generic like kind of multi-floored business place, and this seems like early 2000s stuff. This doesn't even seem like 90s stuff. This is like early 2000s, mid, like around 2008 or so. So some of these places, while you think that it reflects kind of the 90s. I think it's really more so reflective of people of my age group of just having vague memories of these types of areas.
Convenient thing about level 4 is that it's very easy to enter and exit, but more on that in a second. Level 4 is considered one of the best places in the entire backrooms to meet up with other wanderers and to gather supplies, and it's definitely a safe spot to rest. There are several outposts here, but most notably, Meg Base Omega is here, which is the second main Meg base. This base is heavily guarded, and it's located near an exit of this level. The next outpost is called Amor Incrementum, if the name didn't give it away. This group.
It's something that I've always wondered as I was reading some of these stories, because the Meg bases and stuff like this, why don't they have like a system in place to, like, why don't they have a type of tram system, like transportate, like they have pathways that consistently go to different areas and keep them guarded, because it would seem like that would be the best way to make sure that floors that are extremely dangerous or very hard to enter by random people who roam in, so you could, like, keep people more safer more generally. But maybe there is, and I just haven't read that. But a lot of, I don't know. I don't like the government of the Meg system. The Meg, they need to get their shit together.
Is a cult. A cult who worships agriculture. It's one of the smallest documented groups in the backrooms, as it only has 10 members. And the plants they worship and grow aren't even plants, they're mold, so I don't know what's up with them. The last group here is called the TBD, or To Be Determined, which is a group of about 6 people who literally just hoard the resources on this level for themselves, and they're extremely hostile. They do trade, but when they trade, it's for really weird objects that don't even do anything, so they're just being weird. To enter this level, you can pick from a variety of ways, but the most common way is no clipping from the hub, or you can take an elevator from level 3. To leave level 4, all you have to do is walk through an office-style stairway. There's tons of them on the level. Or you can
But you see what I kind of mean? Like, even these places that seem that are, like, mostly safe, like, there's these weird cults of people that have just kind of been driven insane. Probably not just by the fact that they're in this alternate reality, but also probably from the experiences they've had going through there. I think if I went through that fucking 3rd floor and I'm here, I might have a mild mental breakdown. Just saying.
Take an elevator, and both of those exits will put you on.
I might be around and trying to collect weird stuff, so I don't have to think about the shit that I saw at level 3,
5 or 6, easy enough. So to quickly summarize, level 4 is the home of infinite almond water, and is relatively safe to just chill at and meet new people. Yeah, that's literally it. Level 5, aka Terror Hotel, is classified as a Class 2 survival difficulty. It's unsafe and unsecure, and it has a low entity count. Now this level is pretty much an infinite hotel complex with a ton of rooms and hallways that are scattered throughout the level. The architecture of the level looks like a hotel that's similar to a hotel building from the mid 1930s, and the furniture in the level seems to be from the early 1920s. Nice. There are 3 parts of this level that are fully accessible, and those are the main hall, the Beverly rooms, and the boiler room, but more on those later. The walls all throughout this hotel are...
Now, see, when I see this place, what I think of is like, what is that Stephen King movie? I can't really believe I forgot. The Shining. There we go. Like, this place reminds me of The Shining, and even all the setup pieces that he just gave. It's just like that screams of The Shining, right?
covered in decorations from the early 1900s, and there's literally like no dirt and dust at all, which is cool because old stuff tends to get dusty. The level is clean because it seems to be able to clean itself somehow. If a spot does get dirty or dusty, the level will just automatically clean the spot and it'll go back to normal. Nice. The cleanliness of the floors and the pristineness of the decorations causes this level to give off a really weird vibe. The ambient sound on this level is smooth jazz music that's quietly playing from vintage record players, and these record players are hooked up to this extremely old speaker system, and their speakers running down the hallways. And interestingly enough, this music can actually be changed. Like, the record can be changed. It's unknown who changes it or how it's changed. It just does it sometimes. Level 5 is actually pretty well known for these weird noises that people hear on the level. Sometimes they hear party chatter, you know, like the ambient sounds of a party, happening on the other side of walls.
Yeah, so this is basically just the Shining Hotel. Which, you know, would be also something that's attributed to my kind of childhood, because when I was growing up, it was like the fucking Shining is the greatest movie of all time. Stanley Kubrick, bro. Yeah, I don't know, that may just be a me thing again, but that's what, you know, I was like 9 or 10, and they were like, you ever watch The Shining? This shit's scary as fuck, dude. I was like, I'm like 9 or 10, I don't care about it, and I can't watch it anyways. So why are you telling me about it? Stanley Kubrick, bro. You know, they just have some older cousins, which I only had like one older cousin, but still, my older cousin was like, you don't understand, bro. Stanley Kubrick. You just don't get it. And then, you know, when I finally was old enough to be allowed to watch it, I was like, that's all right. Kind of, you know, kind of a little much, you know. It's an okay movie, but it's like, you know, you don't have to fucking throw all these symbols and shit at me as if I'm gonna just immediately understand it, or like I'm gonna fucking research all these symbols so that I can understand the movie completely. Jesus Christ.
Or whispering noises behind them, and people have even claimed that their shoulder has been tapped when they were alone. Sounds like it's haunted to me. The level also has a ton of paintings where the characters' eyes seem to always be looking at you, which is creepy as it is, but the fact that there's so many of them, well, that makes it creepier. Now it's time to get into the 3 parts of the level, starting with the main hall. As the name suggests, this is the most common area of the level that you can explore. The walls are this retro red color with that fancy looking wallpaper all over them, and the floors range from dark wood floors to red and gold carpet floors. The hallways here have old furniture like shelving and chairs on each side of them. And on the walls in the hallways, there's these old looking candle holders. Now, some of the candles are real, but some of them are actually electric lamps that aren't real. There's no fire, it's just electric. And these lamps make a buzzing noise, almost exactly like the buzzing noise from level 0, which is weird. The majority of the rooms in the main hall are empty and locked, but some of the rooms are unlocked, and they end up being bedrooms that are fully furnished, and you can actually rest there. Some of the doors also lock and unlock randomly, so it's not known which ones are unlocked at which times.
That would be interesting. Like, say that you find like a room, and this could be this is the thing too. Like, they like a lot of games about parts of this universe, but they don't really use some of the really interesting, creepy parts of it, or they use the very simple, like, well-known areas instead of like. I've never, in the backrooms games that I played, I've never seen anybody utilize this space, I don't think. And this space would be interesting for a horror game because, you know, it could be like a survival type of game. Like, you know, kind of like Minecraft or like Ark or something, but in this hotel area. And you have to be careful where you rest because if you wake up, you might accidentally be locked in a room and then you can't do anything for the day. I don't know. There's interesting things that you could do with something like this. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. It's like vague, kind of memories that everybody can kind of attach to, but it's also really good setup for different types of stories that could be told within it. Even if you didn't make a game, you could still write a really good story about a group of people who get lost in here and can't, because of the doors randomly locking and unlocking, that there might be some creepy shit lurking around. You might accidentally get locked permanently or locked for a long time in a room with some demon dog that you can't do nothing about. You have to figure out a way to survive being locked in that room. Get yourself locked in or get into the bathroom or something. I don't know. There's a lot of cool setups that you could do.
Main hall also has a bunch of elevators that range from really old designed elevators to really new looking elevators. And you can
Like, just to give you a rough idea, like, say somebody goes into this room and the second they close the door, it immediately locks. And there's a fucking demon dog in there. Right? Oh shit. It doesn't notice him, so he has to sneak up under the bed. And then he has to hope to God that this thing doesn't see him before he notices the door unlocks. Or that his friends open the door because it unlocked. There's a lot of things that could happen with that type of stuff, even just being locked in the closet, like just, or even the thing knowing that it's there. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of creepy things. You could even have like the dog know that it's there and just stare at it and just staring at him the whole time. There's so many different things that you can do with this type of stuff. I like it a lot.
access a ton of different levels from these elevators, so it's kind of like a miniature hub, if you will. The next part of the level is called the Beverly Rooms, or the Eternal Ballroom. This is exactly how it sounds too. It's just a huge room with a bunch of doors on all sides. There's one table in the very center of the room, and it's got some drinks on it, and an unfinished game of Mahjong. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I have no idea what that is. People have tried to finish this game, but they can't.
You mean Mahjong? You fucking degenerate? Pronounce the word correctly.
For some reason, and they feel like they're being forced to stay away from it. This area is the main hub of level 5, and you can access the other parts of the level from this part, because there's like 1,000 doors in this area, and they all lead to the different parts of the level. Some take you to the main hall area, and some take you to the boiler room. Speaking of the boiler room, this is the last area that's easily accessible of level 5. And it's pretty much a big cluttered area with a ton of machinery all over the place. There's these huge pipes that run across the walls and through the air, and this can make the area pretty claustrophobic actually. Almond water seems to run through these pipes, and it flows at such a high pressure that the pipes burst sometimes and leak. Nice. It's also pretty hot down there with all the machinery, and since it's literally a boiler room, I mean, you'd expect it to be hot, right? And there's steam floating throughout the area constantly. Some wanderers have actually reported whispering from inside the furnaces down here, so that's not creepy at all. Now, there are some reports of a fourth area called the lobby rooms.
But this is, like this whole area, like you could make an entire story, an entire video game just about this one area. And that's how cool some of these places are. You could literally just you could make a fucking whole thing out of just this one setup area.
On level 5.
That's what I enjoy about things like the SCP, the backroom. Those two things specifically. There's so much setup for you already that you could truly just focus on making interesting and creepy things out of it.
But no one knows exactly how to get there because people who have actually been there say, quote, "You're not supposed to know," end quote, when they're asked where it is. And after just a few weeks of being in this supposed lobby room, the Wanderer loses all memories of it. The only reason the accounts are even written down is because they were quickly reported right after they got sent there. So Meg is currently investigating this room and why it makes you forget its existence, because that's sus. Normal entities are not common on this level, but death moths are a pretty common creature. There's also 4 outposts here, the biggest one being Meg Base Housekeeping. This base is literally...
I want to see what a death moth is, because I don't know what that is. I probably know what it is, I just don't know the name of it. What is a death moth? Entity 4, commonly known as death moth. Okay, it's literally just a big ass moth. What does it do? Why is it scary? Why is it called death moth? Aggressively attracted to your light sources like flashlight. The danger level, creatures that are okay. They're relatively small, frightened, and generally docile. They might temporarily swarm your face if you draw them in with a flashlight. They rarely pose a major threat, and sometimes even be tamed or ignored. Female death moth. These massive, up to 120 inch in wingspan, extremely hostile. If they spot you, especially near their nest, they will attack you relentlessly. Females will spit hydraulic acid to dissolve their spray and stun their victims, or drag players into their hives. Okay, so that's nice. That's nice. You just roaming around the hotel, fucking 120 foot wingspan moth that grabs you up and feeds you to its fucking moth babies.
Just here to study the level and to help guide people through it. Typical Meg stuff. The next outpost is called the Homely Hotel, and they actually run a hotel service here. They're located in the main hall area, and they even have signs that point to where they're at. They have applications that wanderers can fill out if they want to stay in the hotel rooms, and they've even got their own food service and room service. What? Nice! The next outpost is called the Originals. This outpost is a group of people that live in one of the Beverly rooms, and only people who entered the back rooms from the year 1300 to 1940 can be a part of this group. Bunch of old people, bro. They don't let anyone else join. There's about 31 people who live there, and some of them are really famous, actually, like Amelia Earhart. Nice. The last group is called the Lost Hall Society. This outpost is made by an unknown species of an entity, and there's no known information about the entity at all or how many even live there. But they live in areas.
They even had a whole idea like the originals and that stuff too. That could be an interesting point with a story. Where, they run into that group and that fucking Elvis Presley actually didn't die from a heart attack on the toilet. He just slipped through the toilet bowl into the fucking like there's so much shit you could set up with that.
Areas with libraries, and they're said to have a
Jim Carrey fucking fell through the mask at the Oscars and ended up in the back rooms, or
huge amount of knowledge about the back rooms, and specifically this level. They also designed maps and books and stuff that are extremely helpful to a wanderer. Nice. To enter this level, you can go down an old stairway on level 4, or you can take an elevator from level 3. And to exit this level, you can just go back up the stairway from level 4, or re-enter the elevator from level 3, or you can exit by one of those thousands of doors in this level because they can sometimes lead to other places. So to summarize, this level is a huge retro hotel with tons of rooms and segments, and a cult of old famous people who live here, and a species of unknown entity that live here and draw maps. There's a hotel service with all the amenities of a real hotel, and there's a Meg base. Just your typical level. Nice. Level 6 is classified as class pending, so it's got an unknown safety, and the level is completely unsecured. There's also an unknown number of entities, or there might be no entities, because no one knows. Pretty much nothing besides the floors and the walls are even known about this level. The level is made up of a bunch of hallways with floors that are made out of bricks and walls that are made out of metal, and the entire level is 100% completely and utterly dark, and there's literally no way to make it brighter. Flashlights and fire, everything else that can make light doesn't even work here, and since it's so dark, it's unknown how big the level is. It could be infinite. We don't know.
And see, once again, like I'm just gonna reiterate what I've said before. It's like a lot of these places are just like general anxieties, memories, fears that you kind of have. So this would be like you're being afraid of the dark. This is why it's kind of like it seems like it's a collective consciousness. Like it's very it's like, it's kind of Neoplatonist type of shit, Or it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it right now. I'm getting tired. I'm probably about to stop in a minute. I'm probably going to do up to level 10 and I'm going to be done.
It's also impossible to see other
I think each one of these streams are going to be at least 10 levels.
wanderers here simply because there's no light, and no matter how open your eyes are, you literally can't see anything without light, so you could just walk right past someone and not even see them. There's been some reported sightings of smilers, but the main theory on that is that they're just hallucinations because people make things up when they're deprived of sight. I don't know, I'd see stuff too if I was completely sensory deprived. This level has been known to influence people's grasps on reality. Some people get the symptoms of paranoia and extreme derealization. Even though the level is dangerous, they still feel vulnerable and scared. Just the fact that it's so dark makes a person go crazy. Even the best explorers say that this level is one of the most dangerous ones they've explored, and a large portion of the people who go here never come out. Nice. There are no bases here, obviously, and the level can only be entered through the boiler room from level 5, which I covered in yesterday's video, link below. To exit this level, you have a small chance of just wandering deep enough into it and being sent to level 7, or you can just randomly bump into a wall and no clip out of it. And in some really rare scenarios, there's a random door that you could just walk through. So yeah, level 6 is a pitch black level where the lights don't work and you go crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of like a reflection of what darkness generally does to people. Like I don't think that you could actually put somebody in pitch black darkness for very long and them not go fucking crazy. I forgot, there was something that I read a long time ago, but it does have such an extreme effect on people that it's like, it will drive you crazy. And I didn't pay attention because I had to look at something, unless in that little bit of time that I wasn't paying attention, they said that there was entities in there. I don't know if there's entities in there, but I don't even think you don't even need to necessitate any type of entity within that place, because the darkness itself would be the enemy. So you could set up a whole story. I wouldn't say that you could set up an entire story based on this place. You could probably make a short story about that area, but you wouldn't be able to make like a full-fledged story from it. Right? It could probably just be a short little bit of a more general exploratory story about the background. And I don't know if you could really use this in a video game either, because this would just be a very frustrating thing to deal with.
Level 7 of the backrooms, aka...
So it would be one of those things that you could only use in a story for very specific purposes.
Level Thalassophobia is classified as class 4 and is unsafe and unsecure and has a medium entity count. I wonder if you guys ever get tired of hearing me say that. You probably do. This level is a very difficult level to get through and is said to be a, quote, significant obstacle to the exploration of level 8 and further on. Nice. Not much is known about level 7 and not too many people have even explored it. But what is known is that the level is made up of 2 distinct areas. The first area is called the entrance area, and the second area is called the main area. Really creative names there. The main area is pretty much a huge expanse of water, similar to the ocean in real life, except this goes straight down to get to the different parts of the ocean. And there's a bunch of segments you can pass through, but we'll get onto that stuff later. This level doesn't have any fixed light sources at all, and there's no visible sun, and the only fixed light source is in the entrance area, and there's just a lingering dim light to the entire level. Some of the water in the main area of level 7 is extremely cold and has been compared to touching liquid nitrogen, which means you probably shouldn't stay in it for too long, obviously. Now I'm going to talk about the 2 different areas, starting with the entrance area. This is the...
So, like, once again, it's just another type of fear that you would have to deal with, people. Like, I wouldn't be able to... This is the thing, and even within this, you could set up a story, that's... I don't know. Like, this is the thing. Like, a lot of these areas... let's see the rest of the setup.
The only known entrance to level 7, and it's a fully furnished room with a bookcase, a coffee table, and a lone chair, and one single ceiling light. A quirk about this level and this room is that it's actually rotated horizontally, but the gravity keeps your feet on the floor somehow. It's also important to note that this entrance area and the main area have different gravitational pulls, so the gravity works different in this area than it does when you're in the water. Once you get into this entrance area, you'll start to feel like you're being pulled down to the water, which is below you. There's actually a hole in the floor that looks down at the water, and the gravity here is much stronger than on Earth, so that's going to be a shock. And this also means it's really hard to float on top of the water since you're constantly being pulled down. And the next part of the level...
Well, that's not... I don't think... But anyways. But that's also, like, a really cool concept, right? Like, like, you have this... Like, this abyss that's just constantly trying to pull you in. And to a certain extent, it's, like, inevitable that you're going to have to go through here. So that could be, you could have an interesting story of somebody just really terrified of going into the deep water, even though he knows he has to, or yeah, but he's going to have to, and it's like inevitable, and like maybe the pull of the abyss of that of going into that water just gets slowly stronger over the course of time that he's there. There's cool like psychological fucking horror shit you could do in places like this. Then this would also be a good setup for like a game. I think, yeah, you could have a game based in this area too. You could expand it a little bit here and there to fit a narrative or game mechanics. It's cool.
Level is obviously the main area, which is seemingly an infinite stretch of ocean that goes out in all directions. And you get to this part of the level, like I said earlier, by being pulled from the entrance room down into the water. The entrance room is above the water, about 4.5 meters to be exact. So you drop down into this water when you get here. Nice. Now there are several islands in the water that are made up of an unknown rock. These are located about 2 kilometers from the entrance. They've got nothing on them except one, which we'll talk about later. But they're really isolated, and I don't know why you would stay there. The ocean part of level 7 is pretty much completely unexplored, and is pretty empty for the first 1.2 kilometers down. And this area is called the daylight zone. Since it's the brightest area, you can actually see underwater, and you see what you're doing. But the further you go down from the entrance into the water, the more the light decreases and the more weird stuff you'll start to see. After you pass that initial 1.2 kilometers, you'll get to an area called the twilight zone. This zone's water is full of bones and scrap metal. Even some full skeletons, which are pretty much humans always. These skeletons are from humans, but they have weird things wrong with them, like elongated jaws or really sharp teeth, or no eye sockets, just like really weird stuff. There are also skeletons of massive fish floating around here. These skeletons can get up to 20 meters or 60.
See what I mean? Like this would be a really interesting place to design a game around. Say you have to go there to, get materials to be able to survive. Like there's a lot of really cool things about this place, and even within like a story structure itself, you would be, you're trying to find your way out. You just find this giant graveyard of just pure death and like just a mysterious, not like mysterious type of thing that's happened there that's caused this. And then it's like, also worrying about, well, all these things here are dead. What killed them?
5 feet long. That's really long. This point is where the water pressure starts to get stronger. It won't break your bones or anything, but you'll be able to notice it. After the twilight zone, the next zone is called the midnight zone, and this area is about 6 kilometers down from the entrance. And there's pretty much only humanoid skeletons here. Like that's literally all there is, just a bunch of bodies floating around. It's like a big graveyard. There's also been some reports of the giant fish skeletons here too, and they've been described by wanderers as, quote, incomprehensible in size. Nice. Now there's only one more area of the ocean past the midnight zone, and it's referred to as the abyss. This area has been deemed too dangerous to explore, and the record for the longest person exploring it was 1 minute and 45 seconds. Nice. The abyss seems to have huge piles of rocks and tar that are always bubbling.
See, that's kind of cool that they have a section of this place called the abyss. Because even within a story or like a game or something, there could just be this constant pull. Like the gravity is not actually pulling you down, it's pulling you towards this abyss. See, I like that. I like this. This is a good place. I might have to actually, write a little short story about this place. I don't know. This is what I like about this, the all of this stuff. It's really good setups for like, really cool stories.
And
I'm probably gonna keep saying that.
I don't know why, but it's weird. There's also a bunch of humanoid skeletons here as well, and other than that, there's not much known about what goes on down there. But there is a rumored entrance to level 8 through an underwater cave, but this isn't officially confirmed. If you know anything about the backrooms, you'll know that there's only one entity on level 7, and it's known as the Thing on level 7. It's apparently ridded the waters of any other life, and it's an extreme threat. It's unnaturally fast and strong, and it can detect things from really far away. It can sense, track, and eviscerate a victim within seconds. Nice. So if you want to explore this level, you're going to need to bring some kind of bait to throw away from your body if it starts chasing you. The full depth.
See, that's what I mean. Like all that stuff kind of sets up like this creature that's like a prime super predator that's just wiped everything out. And it's cool. It's very consistent in the logic of how these places are set up. But there's logically something. The logical thing kind of happens as an effect of those things. The only thing, the gravity thing, I think would be more interesting if it was just always constantly pulling towards this abyss, wherever it's located.
Of level 7 isn't fully known, but it can be assumed that it goes insanely deeply, obviously. And there's actually been fragments of synthetic fiber that have been collected from the water, revealing that the floor of the level, at the bottom of the ocean, is made out of carpet. What? That's weird. Now, I did hint at a base being here earlier on one of those islands, and there's only one base, and it's called Fort Surrender, and it's located on the closest island to the entrance of the level. There's anywhere from 4 to 9 people who live here, and they live in shacks made out of random metal scraps. They apparently worship the thing on level 7, and they don't trade, and they're hostile. Weird. To enter level 7, you have to go down the staircase from level 6, which will put you directly in the entrance room of this level. Then you'll eventually fall into the waters. There's actually a rumor floating around that you can come back to level 7 from level 8 through a puddle. I don't know why you would want to, but that's a rumor. To exit, you have to find that cave entrance underwater. It's approximately 7 kilometers down, and pretty hard to find. So to summarize, level 7 is a huge body of water that goes down extremely deep and is split up into a bunch of zones, each of which have different things floating in them, like skeletons of humans and fish. The gravity also constantly pulls you down the entire time, so if you want to stay on top, well, it's going to be really hard. Oh yeah.
You see, this is why I don't understand, like, why, like, if there's organizations that are trying to facilitate or try to discover as much as possible, why wouldn't they have a setup where it'd be more easy to find the exit, right? That's one big gap within this kind of universe that I don't really understand how they. That's one thing that he hasn't really put in place that would be necessary for the world to even kind of make sense consistently.
And there's the thing on level 7 that will chase you down to the ends of the earth to get you. So, nice. Level 8, which is classified as Class 5, unsafe, unsecure, and is infested with creatures. This level is an infinite cave system with caverns and chasms and cliffs everywhere. It's very damp, and there's almond water that runs down the walls and drips from the ceiling, and there are stalactites and stalagmites as well. The sound echoes really loudly on this level, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it can alert you that a creature is near, or it can make you more noticeable to the creatures there. And there's no natural light on this level, just there's these random spots in the cave walls that emit like a really soft bluish white light. Natural vegetation is really rare on this level, but in some spots there are vines and bushes, and sometimes there are pools of standing almond water. However, this almond water isn't safe to drink because...
You see, this is kind of like what is that movie called? Where this chick and her friends go caving into this underground cave system and they get stuck there by these like bat creatures. See, that, like, all these kind of things kind of remind me of different types of movies when I was a kid that I watched. So, like, how old is the person who made the background? Let's find out. He's 20 years old. He's literally almost half my age. Okay. How the fuck? Okay. I just, he's referenced a lot of stuff from, I don't know, I guess it's just, I might just be inventing it in my head that he's referencing those things. I guess I am getting old and senile at this point, since a child invented all this.
There's an excess amount of minerals in it. There are also some pools filled with a tar-like substance that if you walk in, hands covered with tar will reach out of it and attempt to grab you and drag you to your demise. That's creepy. So for any miners watching, there are actually gold and iron ore deposits on this level, so don't forget to bring the pickaxe. The creatures here are very dangerous and are typically ones like smilers, skin stealers, wretches, facelings, hounds, death rats, clumps, reviooks, and wranglers. But there are also some more not so common creatures like camo crawlers, transporters, blossoming eyes, and watchers.
What the fuck? What kind of damn creatures are in here? Fucking blossoming eyes. Like, we're gonna have to go. I think the next time before we go to the next 10 levels, we'll have to go through like all the entities that are in this place.
Those creatures will be in my next reference video, so I won't get into their description here. Level 8 also has its own creature as well. It's called the arachnids of level 8, and these are huge spiders that are really poisonous. So that's not fun at all. Awesome. There's actually an outpost here, and it's called the Meg Cave Raiders. It's got 54 members right now, and there actually used to be another town here called the town of Cavergost or something like that. It had an unknown humanoid species that populated it, and there were 78 members. They lived deep in this remote area of the level. They had
See, like obviously there's stories that you could set up for here, like say that you're part of, I don't know, like the motel, like you have a group there that you're trying to provide for, and you're going out towards level 8 so you can get more resources to better enforce something, or that you need it. There's something in that cave specifically. Maybe the venom of the spider itself there does some type of has some type of medicinal use. There's interesting ways that you could set it up, just like somebody who's just born in that world, uh, having to travel to different areas. Like, there's really cool ways you could. There's a lot of really cool fucking ways you could use this place.
Crude weapons that were made from like an unknown
just
ore,
in general,
and they weren't really welcoming to humans, but their leader was. However, this civilization just seemingly disappeared without a trace, leaving its outpost walls empty. To enter this level, just find a cave entrance on level 7, and you can exit by randomly falling through the floor to get taken to level 9. There are other exits as well, but they aren't really advised. But this one is a really scary level just because, more so its physical layout, it's just an infinite dark cave with caverns and dangerous creatures everywhere. Like, that's terrifying to me, especially since I'm not a big fan of heights. Level 9, aka the Suburbs, is classified as Class 5, unsafe, unsecure, and is infested with entities. So pretty much the level is just an infinite suburb where it's always nighttime. The houses here are all different as well in size and shape and what's inside of them, except there's one report where someone claimed that there were 2 houses next to each other that were exactly the same, which is weird. Inside the houses themselves, everything seems to be fully furnished and it all looks pretty new. The only thing is that there's no power source to power any of the electronics or any stuff like that. There's a multitude of useful objects that can be found inside the houses though, but some of the houses are just empty. All the houses are pretty normal. Some of the houses even have full backyards with backyard stuff like balls and playhouses and grills, stuff like that. But there is one weird aspect of this level that makes it a little bit more eerie. Sometimes you'll run into 2 houses that have clipped inside of each other, which in reality is physically impossible, obviously. But hey, this is the backrooms, and
like even this place, like this place would be interesting because you could have, like, I don't know, like somebody, a family or a family member just in the house and just randomly falls into this place. Because I don't think there's any hard set rules that you have to go through everything in order. I think you can just randomly fall into a random level of this area of this place just by happenstance. It's just more common that you start at the lower levels. But there's a lot of really interesting setups you could do here. Um, and also it kind of speaks to like you know, when I was younger, I kind of snuck out of the house and I roamed the streets, or not the street, but I roamed down the road and stuff into other people's, you know, homes, not in their homes or in their yards or their property or anything, but I would go and walk and just look at other people's houses, I guess, from the street. I know that sounds fucking weird, but it's not like that. It's just, you know, I just roam and walk down the road. I would like look at people's yards and shit just to kind of escape from, you know, my house for a while. And I was always up at night. I was never up during the day. Always been nocturnal. So there's that's something that it kind of brings back that type of memory. Like, and you know, there were kids that did the same thing around where I live. So there was like a group of us that just kind of roamed around and you know, just bullshitted around, I guess.
it's not impossible. The most dangerous part of level 9 is actually the streets, because that's where the entities roam. And there are tons of entities here because, well, it's infested, like I said. But there are also some foggy areas where the mangled can spawn. So watch out for that. The main entities here are death moths, smilers, skin stealers, Jerry, hounds, transporters,
Jerry? So the people who worship the bird Jerry is also a thing that can spawn in and attack you.
Rats, Anithicas, and wretches. So pretty much they're some of the worst entities. And there are rats,
Wait.
smilers, so watch out for them. But there are also some foggy areas where the mangled can spawn. So
What are the
are pretty
mangled?
much like the neighbor.
Let's see what the mangled is. I'm curious about that. The mangled designated entity 63 is a terrifying, massive creature known for stalking human wanderers. Since you didn't ask a specific question, I will break down exactly. Okay, let's say towering stature. It's taking a look between 30 to 50 feet. Spider-like build. It features 4 spindly, bony limbs that move deeply unnatural ways. Distorted anatomy. Its joints can contort, conform completely out of place, and can alter the size and thickness of its limbs on command. Humanoid face. Okay, so it's, probably don't want to see that in a dark alleyway.
Neighborhood Watch, the Observer, and the Mangled. The Neighborhood Watch entity is literally a species that looks like a giant human eye, and they're extremely aggressive. Nice. The Mangled are huge 30
it just fucking explained it.
to 50 feet
Right
tall
here.
creatures that look
I
like
just wasn't
they're
paying
kind of on
attention.
stilts. Their bodies look old and they have saggy skin. So, nice. And they're also really dangerous. There are no official bases or outposts here, but there are
no
some
shit.
groups who roam the...
Yeah, fucking 50 feet, massive, mangled fucking creatures fucking jumping out at you called the mangled. I guess because they mangled, are they mangled or do they mangle? Or is it both?
Infinite suburb and sporadically live in the houses. It is possible to make a base here, but there are so many entities that it's not advised. To enter level 9, the easiest way is by falling through the cave floor on level 8, but you can also crawl up a sewer gate from level 34 and end up here. There's like 30 other ways too, so it's not too hard to get here. To exit the level, you have to follow the street signs, which will take you to level 11 after about 100 miles or so. Or sometimes you can just walk off into a random field and it'll take you to level 9.1 or level 10. There are other exits that are pretty random, it seems. Like you can just walk into a random house and be sent to level 53, or you can find a playground and get into a tube slide and that'll send you to level 283. Nice. So like I said,
I really wish he would do like the sub rooms, like the 11.1 or stuff like that.
pretty random. So to summarize this pretty simple level, it is an infinite dark suburb with houses that are fully furnished and have some supplies, but there are also some houses that are not fully furnished and have no supplies. Some of the houses are glitched together, and there are creatures that roam the streets everywhere. The level is pretty easy to enter and exit, and it's a pretty straightforward level. As long as the doors on the houses could lock, I would literally stay here. Level 10 of the Backrooms is classified as a Class 1 difficulty and is safe, secure, and has minimal entities. Level 10 physically is a infinite wheat field that has a dirt path that cuts directly through it. The wheat itself seems to be safe and normal. You can make bread and stuff with it, you can eat it. And sometimes on the ground and near this wheat, there's almond water.
See, like, this is another cool, like, area that could be a setup for some of the lower levels. They have like bases or people groups and stuff like that. You could have to come here to gather supplies to bring back. Although for a lot of it, you'd figure that they'd probably use floor 2 for the most part for that. But I don't know. I don't think there's like ways that you could just go right back to previously what you are. It's usually like just going forward, I think, with the stuff.
Or puddles, which are also safe to drink. Nice. The time of day in this level always seems to be...
So there's wheat you can drink, puddles of almond water. So you could just basically build, like, you'd figure there'd be a bunch of places here, a bunch of bases here. This would be like a midpoint to going, to the next 10 floors or something.
Around noon, and it's mostly cloudy, and sometimes it even rains, so cool. Along the sides of the dirt path, there are some random buildings like barns and stables. You can explore these areas if you want to, but normally there isn't really anything there. On the floor of the barns, there's just animal fur and farming equipment like tractors and other tools, but sometimes you also...
That would be useful shit. Like this is the thing, that'd be useful stuff. You could easily stay here. This is what I want. Put me in floor 10, please. I don't. I'm ready to be at floor 10 or level 10. I'll stay there. You don't have to worry about me. I'll just go there. Let me bring like one or two other people, and I'll just make a homestead out there, and I'm good.
Also hear weird animal noises coming from an unknown source inside of the buildings only, which is weird. Deeper into this level, you'll find some small houses that kind of have the style of a house that was built back in the 80s. These houses are pretty empty, and there's nothing really else to them except they're just houses. Except some wanderers have reported a crying noise from inside the houses. Ghosts, question mark? Walking into these houses can rarely take you back to level 7 or 9, so that kind of sucks. If you walk a little bit further down the dirt path, you'll notice a whole town. This town has the same architecture style as the houses do, so it's assumed that the houses...
Alright, so you wouldn't be able to use any of the houses. Otherwise, you could randomly fuck yourself. Okay, so you'd probably have to break down like a barn or something and build like a little shed to keep you warm from the rain. I wouldn't want to put doors on anything because that would freak me out thinking that it's going to do the same thing as, take me to floor 7 or 9.
The town was built at the same time, but unlike the empty houses, these buildings in the town are full of stuff. It doesn't say what the stuff is, but oh well. The town has stores and apartments and other houses, and pretty much just typical town stuff. Now, very rarely on level 10, creatures can spawn inside of the buildings, like the typical Smiler or Skin Stealer or Hound, the big three. And this level is also home to two entities that are pretty special. The first entity is called the Archers, and these things live in these towers that are randomly, sporadically put on this
so it's
level
a tower defense
that
place.
look like medieval archer towers.
I knew this place was too good to be true. God damn it.
I don't know, it's weird. They're lit up by torches and they've got furniture from the 1600s inside. And this is where it gets kind of wacky. Sometimes on the level, you'll just hear random trumpet sounds from the sky, like insanely loud or just blast in your ears. And after the trumpets sound for about 2 minutes, the archers come out to scout around the level, I guess. They claim that the towers are their own territory, and they defend them too. And once the trumpet sound blasts again, the archers disappear to an unknown location. It's advised to stay clear of the archers because you don't want to get shot in the face with an arrow. The second special entity here is called the Gluff. These are big fat creatures
What the fuck is that? Looks like a damn... This looks like a clump of fucking ginger.
Around the wheat fields. Gluffs are literally only here to help grow the crops because when they sweat, their body sweats out almond water. That's right, folks. Almond water. These creatures are really friendly, and they like to frolic around the fields, and they're considered graceful.
The fuck are they They can't frolic. They can fucking jiggle around. I don't know. They could waddle.
Actually, they're pretty well known as good friends to have. There are several bases and outposts here as well, like the BNTG level 10 resource station is a base that's here, and they harvest wheat to make breads and other baked goods for the rest of the back rooms. There's about 23 people who live here. The next group is called the Cartographer Station Tertium. The full population of this group is around 3,000 people.
Good lord.
They're open to trade, and anyone is welcome, unless you're a member of the BNTG, which then you're not welcome. The next group is called Malt Town, and this is a group of several wanderers who seek refuge in the level 10 town. They're very friendly, and they're guarded by the BNTG.
Well, that would be kind of dangerous if those creatures spawn in the houses, and sometimes you go into those houses and you spawn in one of the more dangerous places. Why would you live in the town? Or is it just the houses that look like they're from the 80s that teleport?
The last group is called the Housekeepers. Now, these are mysterious residents in the houses of level 10 that have apparently, quote, discovered some vital information about the back rooms inside of the houses, but they're not willing to share it. Losers. To enter this level, you can just walk into the fields of level 9 like a...
Alright, so they're just, crazy people that are just lying. Okay.
I said yesterday, or you can climb a chain-linked fence on level 205. To exit, you can chance going into a random house to be teleported to a random level, or you can knock over a scarecrow in a field to be sent to level 807. So to summarize, this level is an infinite, foggy, cloudy wheat field with a dirt path that runs through it. There are houses and a small town in the level, and there are some friendly groups, and there are big, fat, graceful things that water the fields with their own sweat. Nice. Level 11 is classified as a Class 1 difficulty, and is safe, secure, and has a minimal entity count.
Alright, so we're done. I'm getting tired, and I do have to go to work tomorrow. So, which I could stay up for multiple more hours, but I really don't feel like it. I really don't feel like it. So I'm gonna go to sleep. I think we'll continue to do these. I think I might do these streams once a week. We'll probably do like 10 or 20 floors at a time till we're through all of this. Then it's probably on to something different. Because I'm sure there's other types of things that are like this that'd be interesting to go through. But I'm going to go to sleep. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Have a good one.